Joining us now, Captain Criss Turnipseed, the Director of the Mississippi Highway Patrol Public Affairs Division. Good morning, Captain. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Good morning, Gerard. How are you doing today? Checking my audio. Is my audio good this morning?
We're good. Yes, sir. Appreciate that.
Yes,
First, Happy New Year to you.
Man, Happy New Year. And what a change in days here in the last few days here. It's pretty brisky this morning.
It is indeed. But it's more like it should be this time of year. So I got to say that I've welcomed the change with open arms in this case. It just seemed a little weird being so warm in late December and around the holidays and so forth. But we are so glad you were able to check in with us this morning. Wanted to find out how we did over the holidays, and in particular over the busy traveling New Year's weekend. How we do?
I'm going to tell you what, we're talking about this warm weather. Troopers took advantage of this warm weather over the holiday period, and they did some very exceptional work this weekend. Almost 15,000 citations rode over the New Year's holiday travel period, which is
wow,
is a lot.
15,000.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I mean, they work. This warm weather, it's not good for getting around the fire or, snuggling up. But I tell you, it's good for getting out and doing traffic enforcement for sure. So 15,000 of those, almost doubled up on our DUIs this year.
Gosh.
Did have, 2 fatal crashes compared to 3 last year. But, we did everything we could to keep those from happening. But, man, we're very, very proud of the effort our troopers put forward over this holiday period to try to keep everybody safe, man. The guys and gals went out there and really worked hard.
Yeah. I'm a little surprised and honestly disappointed to hear, Captain, at the increase in the number of DUI citations. Is that something you guys expected?
Well, it's one of those things that, like I've said before in interviews, weather permits, you can get out and do some of these safety checkpoints, and you can get out and make some more traffic stops with some good weather. They're there. They just, and plus we had our days off canceled over the period, so we had every enforcement trooper that worked for the Highway Patrol out working the road. So
yeah,
a lot of times those numbers reflect the actual manpower that you're using to do that, and the weather too. Like I said, there was a lot of checkpoints this weekend, and it shows up in these numbers.
Wow. Well, we were fortunate in that we didn't have some of this really serious winter weather that seems to have blanketed the Plains states, the Northeast to some extent, and the upper and lower Plains states. You hear anything from those regions from your peers as to what happened up there over the weekend?
Well, I did notice, just I kind of check in on social media, and there was looked like a pretty much a full stage weather event up there with them working crashes and calls to service. We actually, in our top 2 northernmost districts, checked this morning the numbers. We had about 25 weather-related crashes, nothing serious, no fatalities or anything, but it dipped down here in the top of Mississippi too. And like I said, it was raining yesterday morning, and it turned into a little bit of sleet, and then it turned to snow, and then it started sticking, and we started getting reports of the bridge is freezing over and some ice on some roadways in those northern counties, and as a result, we worked a few accidents.
Yeah. With the event that we had last year, Captain, I believe that was February, was it not, that we had the ice storm that came through and really paralyzed a good bit of the state for a few days. Is there anything that the Highway Patrol sort of took away from that in an effort to maybe prepare for a similar situation this year? Anything different maybe?
Well, as far as what we can do, because we're pretty reactionary in those, and we try to put out weather advisories and try to keep people off the roads the best we can. But people are going to do what people are going to do. Sometimes we have to shut down highways and stuff, and we don't want to do that. But this is Mississippi, and we're not accustomed to those kind of northern weather traffic events. So sometimes our equipment, we don't spend a lot of money on. We don't have a fleet of snowplows, for instance, in Mississippi because we rarely would use something like that. But we did the best we could with what we had, and hopefully we won't have a repeat of that this year. But it's just one of those things that we try to keep people off the roadways the best we can when we have a weather incident like that. But it's just hard to do. It's just hard to do.
Yeah, sure. Is there anything on the horizon that you guys are paying particular close attention to with respect to increase in the volume of traffic or anything that traditionally during the next few weeks or a couple of months that you got your eye on?
Nothing in particular. Our next holiday travel period, which will be a big one for us, will be in the spring, starting off summer, Memorial Day. Between now and then, it's just kind of touch and go and just kind of seeing what happens. Nothing huge planned. I do want to say, just looking forward to traffic events, that we are in the process now of trying to recruit another cadet school, another trooper school. So hopefully next year when this runs around, we will have more manpower and be even more prepared. And Cadet Class 66, we're looking at starting in May. It's going to be our first prior law enforcement school. So everybody in this school is going to be a prior law enforcement officer. We're looking forward to doing that here. First time for Mississippi. They've been doing it in some other states. And we've been looking at it and watching it and seeing what their turnouts are. So we're going to try to give it a try here in Mississippi and see what kind of results we can get.
If someone were interested in joining and signing up for the Highway Patrol to become a state trooper, go through the cadet school, what are the requirements there, Captain?
Well, right now it's 21 years old. Got to have at least a high school diploma or a GED. Got to be a resident of Mississippi, United States, upon graduation of school. And the only other extra requirement that you got to have for this school is you're going to have 2 years of active law enforcement experience, and that's field experience. As a road deputy or a police officer, field experience, and you've got to your academy that you attended before you work with those departments. Has to be a accredited law enforcement academy. So your different law enforcement academies around the state that are accredited. So 2 years experience and then a certificate from one of those, and that'll get you in. And then we're also looking at some out-of-state stuff as well. For some certified officers as well. If an officer from out of state wants to come into Mississippi, we will look at and evaluate their accreditation, their credentials at their academy, and weigh those, and hopefully get a few of those in as well.
What's the typical size of a class?
On one of these, we're not very sure because it's the first time we've ever did one. As you know, just a regular class, we usually have around 500 applicants that start in, and it's usually narrowed down to a little bit over 100 after the background checks and all the requirements to get in. So we can only start. They tell us we can only start so many, so we have to work with the numbers that we have and the budgeting allowances that we have to be able to hire. So that's kind of how that works out. It's based a lot on money. But this one will be interesting because we're just kind of waiting to see what happens. We'd love to have, 400 or 500 applicants, but we'll just have to see what happens. Our deadline for applications is going to be the 21st of this month, January 21. So maybe getting closer to that date, we can hook back up with the interview and kind of see where we are on that.
What's the length of a class? How long?
The length of your typical patrol school is around 20 weeks. We call this law enforcement class that we're going to do now is going to be 12 plus or minus. Just kind of looking at what the scheduling is. We've also got to take COVID into contention here and see how that works. But it's going to be around 12 weeks or so, and these guys are already certified with basic law enforcement, so we're going to use the time there to kind of concentrate on skills that they're going to need to be troopers and work on those while they're at the patrol school.
I got you. Well, Captain, we certainly appreciate you taking some time to join us and give us an update today, and really appreciate you talking about the trooper school. That's important. We need more good folks. You have a happy New Year, sir. Thanks to extend our thanks, please, to all the men and women of the Highway Patrol for keeping us safe and protecting our roadways in Mississippi. And we'll talk soon.
Thank you, Gerard. Happy New Year to y'all too, and stay warm out there for the next few days.
Yes, sir.